You know, there's one thing that I love about God is that God will always reveal the liars in our society. They can try and create a smear campaign against your name. They can misquote you. They can twist your words. But God will always reveal the liars. There is a liar on this internet that is currently trending that a lot of you listen to. Watch the next video. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Watch.
So today I'll be reacting to a video from two creators, one from Impo and one from Voice of RSA. So let's watch what Impo has to say about this.
In a 15-year period, when you do the math, women have a 1.8% chance of getting raped. And the black women say that the black men are dangerous. They are not safe. They're going to be raped if they go outside. It's dangerous. I feel like black women are disingenuous and they're not good people.
Well, I disagree. I don't think black women are disingenuous or dangerous people. I just think they're a bit misinformed. But before I give my opinions, let's hear what the other creator has to say about this.
So this man came here with his Wikipedia research trying to tell us that women only have a 1% chance of getting raped. According to the Human Sciences Research Council, 40% of South African women have experienced physical or sexual violence in their lifetime.
So we have two creators here with two contrasting viewpoints. We have Impo who's saying that women have a 1.8% chance of experiencing sexual violence, and we have Voice of RSA who's saying that women have a 40% chance of experiencing sexual violence. It's important to understand that these two creators are getting their data from two different places. Impo is getting his data from the SAPS website. Although in his video it's showing a Wikipedia page, but that Wikipedia page is sourcing the data from the SAPS website. Voice of RSA, on the other hand, he's getting his data from the HSRC. They did a study where they interviewed 10,000 people. 51% of them were women and 49% of them were men. Of the women, they were trying to figure out how many of them had been victims of sexual violence, and of the men, how many of them have been perpetrators of sexual violence. And we can actually play the video in which Voice of RSA referenced, just to see what the results were.
That 33.1% of women aged between the age of 18 and older have experienced physical violence in their lifetime. And that amounts to 7.3 million women in our country. Another stats, 9.8 have faced sexual violence in their lifetime. That translates to 2.1 million women in our country.
It's interesting because in this video, the lady says only 9.8% of women have experienced sexual violence. But she does say that 33% of women have experienced physical violence. There's no mention of the 40% that Voice of RSA is speaking about. I think the 40% he's referring to is the 40% that was on the title of the YouTube video. But in the actual video, there's no mention of the 40%, which is quite ironic because he was obviously making fun of Impo for using Wikipedia as a non-credible source. And then he then goes ahead and uses a YouTube title as a credible source. So it's a bit ironic there. So in this video, it says that 33% of women have experienced physical violence. However, the debate was not about physical violence, it was about sexual violence. So this lady further goes and says that only 9.8% of women have experienced sexual violence. So yes, this is much higher than the 1.8% that Impo quoted, but it is substantially lower than the 40% that Voice of RSA quoted. I know that sometimes when we see the number smaller than what we expect, we sometimes feel as if we're trying to underplay the importance of this problem. But actually it's a very important thing because it means that the battle is not this big, it's actually this small. And if the battle is this small, it means that we can manage it. And if we can manage the battle, it means that we can win the battle. So how do we win the battle? We have to look at the 9.8% and say, who are the biggest victims of sexual violence within that 9.8%? And we see that it's women with disabilities. So if we want to make a difference when it comes to sexual violence, we need to focus primarily on women who are disabled. And this is women who have physical disabilities, mental disabilities, things like being blind, things like being deaf. And these are the women who experience it the most and reported the least. This also ties into why the data that Impo had was so low, because a lot of the victims of sexual violence were unable to go and report their cases. So the way I see it, right, it's a good thing because 90% of women will never be victims of sexual violence.